What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So to get started, we're going to talk some basketball. With all that's going on at the MLB, home stretch, NFL starting up. Forget, NBA starts pretty soon. Just think about a month or so. And hockey right behind basketball starting as well in October. But Dallas Mavericks extend PJ Washington gets 4 years, $90 million. He's been eligible for that. This is for not too long, but it's been an expectation pretty much all offseason. Once he became eligible for that deal, they would offer it to him and he would sign it. He had a very good year last year. He averaged 14 points, seven almost 8 rebounds last year. He shot 45% from the field, 38% from three. It's one of the best years of his career. He shot 72% from the line last year. He was the second most points he'd ever scored in a season when he had 15.7 and 2023, his last full year playing for the Hornets. I'm sure he had the ball a lot less. He played with Luka Doncic for about half the season until the shocking trade happened, and then Kyrie for a little bit still before he got hurt. But he had a very good year last year. He's a very good player, solid scorer. He's got a little bit of spacing. He's a very good defender. That was a great trade pick up a couple of years ago from Charlotte by Dallas, and he's still only 27 years old, and he signed a long-term deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Before we move on to a bunch of football stuff, a big scandal or bombshell, whatever you want to call it, dropped in the NBA. So Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers were in some hot water. And so supposedly, this is a wild report, very, very unorthodox, I guess you could say. So Pablo Torre is a very, very popular investigative journalist. Has his own show. He would go on Around the Horn, of course, a show that recently shut down a few months ago. The sports debate show that shut down a few months ago after a long run. They go on that show from time to time. He's a sports journalist. I know it's a crazy thing, sports journalism now, but he uncovered this huge story in which there was a company, sustainability company that in March filed for bankruptcy that apparently received $50 million in funding from Steve Ballmer, of course, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. The company is called Aspiration. They've been accused of fraud, and the co-founder of that company, Joseph Sandberg, pled guilty to defrauding multiple investors. In that filing, which shows all their creditors, one of those creditors is still owed money from Aspiration. One of those companies is that Aspiration owes money to, still haven't paid them because they're also dealing with a lot of financial issues. The company is called KL2 Aspire LLC. It's some random ass corporation. The manager, if you look at their website or official whatever, their manager is listed as Kawhi Leonard, which is very odd. Apparently, Aspiration still owes Kawhi Leonard $7 million, which is odd considering Kawhi has never endorsed or even mentioned them one time. Whenever, someone, has an endorsement agreement, you would think they would, kind of advertise them. For example, if, insert NBA player has an endorsement with Nike, they're going to wear Nike shoes and their clothes, and they're going to be in their commercials and their advertisements. Or, they'll be mentioned or advertised. The player will advertise them or mention them at some point throughout time. And Kawhi's never done that, which seems very odd. Well, nothing that's odd. Other celebrities have endorsement deals with that company, including Doc Rivers, of course, the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. And a document that Pablo Torre found, or I guess obtained is the right word for his investigation. It's signed by Kawhi Leonard, and it states that between 2022 and this year, Kawhi was contractually obligated to be paid $28 million over a 4-year span, as long as he played for Los Angeles Clippers. That's the one kicker. Obviously, he's played for them throughout that time, so he, I guess, fulfilled his end of the bargain. A former employee from Aspiration who works in the finance department says that this was the deal that was to circumvent the salary cap. I know that sounds like kind of gibberish. Like, what the heck do you mean circumvent the salary cap? circumventing the salary cap is basically means in layman's terms when a team uses a third party to pay a player more than they are legally allowed to under the salary cap. Obviously, it is illegal. That's supposedly what's going on. There's been a few instances throughout the NBA's existence of teams trying to circumvent the cap. And back in 1993, the Trailblazers signed Chris Dudley, a center. He got a 7-year, $11 million deal. Keep in mind the total money. This is 1993. Dudes were not signing $200 million max deals. That was unheard of. How $11 million total dollars in 1993 was a pretty big deal back whatever that was, 35 years ago, however long ago that was. Including the opt after the first season, and then it was just a really weird deal because at this time, the league rules were a little different in the NBA. A free agent gained full bird rights with a new team after only one season. Now it's a little bit more than one season, which gives him like the ability to like opt out of the contract automatically. So Dudley didn't exercise his opt out because he ended up getting injured. He figured I don't know what's going to sign me if I'm coming off an injury. Other players had clauses in their contracts, such as Tony Kukoc. He was a player on those Bulls teams with Michael Jordan. Craig Elo was another relatively popular player back in the 90s. He also had that clause in their contract. So there was so that was something that was a thing. In 1996, David Falk, who was a super agent, if you've watched the Last Dance documentary about Michael Jordan and his career, he was featured, not featured, but he was interviewed in it a couple of times. I would compare him to Scott Boras or Rich Paul. Like he was like the top line agent. He tried. He basically tried to he did this scheme to try and see if he can almost force the New York Knicks to make a contract offer to Michael Jordan in 1996. Keep in mind Jordan, his last three-peat was 96 through 98 with the Bulls. Then after 98, he retired, came back in like 2000, finished off his career with the Wizards. So apparently, both the Knicks and Sheraton Hotels were owed money from this parent company, ITT Corporation. So the Knicks at this time had the cap space to potentially sign Michael Jordan. Remember, there was no maximum salary at this point. So it was like kind of giving the Knicks a leg up. Didn't really matter because he ended up re-signing with the Bulls anyway. So it never really turned into a whole big thing. The biggest one, though, was a former first overall pick, Joe Smith, was drafted first overall by Golden State in 1995. He didn't turn into the player that the Warriors thought he was going to, but he was still considered the league top free agent back in 1998. Remember, 1998 free agent. He's a little different. So like nowadays, pretty much every year, there's either a slew of role players, or really every couple of years, you'll have a guy like Kevin Durant or LeBron or insert, that kind of player's name, Luka Doncic. So 2 years later, he ended up signing a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. 2 years later, this whole thing kind of ensued. Apparently, Smith's agent left the firm that he was a part of, and then it turned into a messy lawsuit. So supposedly, like Smith signed like 3 separate 1-year deals, which would have allowed Minnesota to gain his full bird rights. He signed like 3 straight 1-year deals, like three straight off seasons, and eventually, by going into the year 4, he got a long-term deal, which could have paid him up to $86 million. So it was this whole thing. And then McMitchell at the time was, of course, David Stern. He ended up putting down a huge punishment. He fined the Timberwolves $3.5 million. Granted, keep in mind, nowadays for an NBA team, $3.5 million would not be that much money in the grand scheme of things. Remember, this is in the late 90s. All of his contracts got voided. Joe Smith, as well as his bird rights. The owner at the time was Glenn Taylor. I believe he passed away a few years ago. He was suspended for a year, so he cannot be involved with his own basketball team for a full season. And then they lost their next 5 first-round picks. They did get their picks back in 03 and 05, so by the time it was 5 straight first-round picks, ended up being 3 first-round picks. That also still an incredible punishment. What the punishment could look like for the Clippers. So there's 2 sections in like the CBA. There's Section 1 and Section 2 violations. If he violates Section 1, it would be the first offense would be they could be fined up to $4.5 million. Second offense and beyond could be fined up to $5.5 million. Granted, for Steve Ballmer, that's not a lot of money. They could lose 1 first-round draft pick, and all contracts and transactions that violated the rules can be voided. So I don't know if that would mean Kawhi's contract or what that would mean, but bad. Section 2 violation, though, is worse. They can be fined up to $7.5 million. Again, in the grand scheme of things, not that much money. Any team personnel who willfully was involved in the violation could get suspended for up to a year. The contracts could be voided, and they could lose multiple draft picks. So this is a serious allegation. NBA is investigating it, but that's a big bombshell that dropped in the NBA. I believe it was yesterday. We had an extension in the NFL. Broncos extend outside linebacker, edge rusher Nick Bonito. 4 years, $120 million, $70 million guarantee. Gets a huge deal, $30 million a year. Second round pick in 2022. 2 seasons ago, takes a big step forward. Had 8 sacks as a rotational pass rusher. Also had 30 total tackles, a 20 quarterback hits, 2 pass defenses, and a forced fumble. Complete breakout year, becoming a full-time starter last year at 13.5 sacks, 48 tackles, 2 forced fumble, a fumble recovery, as well as a pick 6. Was named the Pro Bowler, was second-team All-Pro, and finished 9th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Key piece of that very elite Denver Broncos defense gets a long-term extension. And with that, let's get into, we're going to do my last 2 division previews. Right down to the wire with this. Took a little longer than I thought. I'll do awards picks and playoff predictions probably tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. Maybe dip into week 2, right before week 2 for that. But that's okay. But most likely I'm going to do it tomorrow. So the AFC South, I have the Bucks coming out of it again. I believe it would be I'm trying to think when Tom's first year that was. This would be the 6th year in a row. Tampa wins the division. Baker Mayfield turned himself into a very good quarterback. I mean, not an elite one, not one of the best, but top 10-ish, top 10 to 12 guy in the league. They should have a very good running game. Bucky Irving was great as a rookie. Should only get better. Rashad White is a pass catching back. Mike Evans, future Hall of Fame receiver. Well, he's had 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. That guy's a dog. Getting Chris Godwin back at some point. He's hurt still right now, but you'll have him back by at least mid-season. You drafted him after Ibuka, who will be a very good player. Line's pretty good. Got a pretty good young offensive line with Tristan Wirfs and Luke Golladay, who just got his big contract, and Graham Barty, who drafted last year. Defensively, leave a little bit to be desired, but there are some pieces there. Levante David's still kicking. Antoine Winfield is one of the league's best safeties. You still have some guys there. You're pretty big up the middle with you have Vita Vea, who's one of the league's best nose tackles. Todd Bowles is not a good coach. I've said this before. Fortunately, he's in a bad division, but he's good enough to get them to 9-10 wins and win the division every year in a weak division, which doesn't say a whole lot, but I have them coming 10-7 and once again winning the division. In second place, I'll be Atlanta Falcons. I have them at 8-9, and look, their ceiling is a lot higher than that. Michael Penix's first 4 years as a starter, the weapons that they have, but I just don't trust this team. Penix had a lot of injuries, concerns in college. He played the last 2 games last year, didn't look great. Look, Bijan's a superstar running back. Drake London's a really good receiver. I mean, wherever Kyle Pitts is, you have Darnell Mooney there. But now, remember, your right tackle, Caleb McGarry, was very good. He's out for the season with an injury. Penn, he's a left-handed quarterback. That's his blind side. You're going to have a second-string right tackle playing all year for Michael Penix. Left-handed quarterbacks that haven't really lasted really in forever in the NFL. Defensively, they should be a little bit better. You draft Jalen Walker and James Pierce in the first round. I think Walker can be a really good pass rusher. I think Pierce will just keep his attitude in check. That was a slight issue with him in college. Can be a good player, but still don't trust them. Gray Jarrett's not there anymore. AJ Terrell, is a great corner. Jesse Bates is an all-pro safety, but still Not sold on them defensively. Raheem Morris is not a good head coach. It was a terrible hire. He cost them so many games last year. I'd not be surprised if he gets fired after the season. I just don't trust this team. Like, there's some talent there. They're in a weak division, so they won't be super, like, really, really bad, but I don't think they win the division, though. In third place, I have the Carolina Panthers. I'm going 16-11. Not sold on Bryce Young. Never was. He played a lot better down the stretch last year. And next step forward could be, enough games to win the division, but as good as that running game should be, offensive line is pretty good. Chuba Hubbard had a great year last year, got a big extension. You bring in Rico Dado, who had a good year in Dallas last year, especially down the stretch. I like them taking Ted McMillan. I think he could be really good. First up receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. Jalen Coker is hurt. Leggett struggled as a rookie. They traded away Adam Thielen. Defensively, they add some pieces to that defense, but you get Derek Brown back on the D line, you get Shaq Thompson back at linebacker. But I'm still not sold on that pass rush, still not sold on that secondary. I like Dave Canales, second-year head coach, but I just don't think they have enough. I don't believe in Bryce Young. In last place, I have a New Orleans Saints. I'm going 3-14. There's a case where they didn't win a single game the whole year. I think they didn't end up with the first pick. But they're in a really bad division. They could beat Carolina one time, maybe be Atlanta one time. The NFL always has crazy upsets now and then. They'll play, insert some random like wild card contending team that they'll surprise for whatever reason. They have a horrible quarterback situation. Spencer Rattler is god awful. Tyler Shuck might somehow be worse. Alvin Kamara is a good running back. Olave is a great receiver, but he's always hurt. First, that receiving core is really bad. Shaheed's a good deep threat, but he's always hurt. The rest of it's really ugly. Juwan Johnson's a surfer. The offensive line isn't great. It's old. The defense is ancient. Maybe the worst unit in the league. DeMar Davis is a really good player, but towards the end of his career, Cam Jordan isn't the same player. Obviously, you trade Marshall Lattimore at the deadline last year. You have Justin Reed's a pretty good player, but it's not enough. I don't think Kellen Moore's even qualified for this job, although he'll get a year to prove himself, but I don't think it's going to look very good. The Saints, I think, will be the worst team in the NFL this year. And NFC West, this is a tough division. There's been some stuff going on within this division. I do have the Rams still winning it. I have them going 10-7. Now, I know Matthew Stafford's been battling some back injuries throughout training camp, all through preseason. He's, 37 years old? Not a good combination. I do think it will be not enough of a problem to really hamper him a lot, but he's lost a slight step. He's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. He's played through injuries throughout his career. He can't play through injuries like he used to, so it is a little bit of a concern, but I don't know if the rest of the division has to offer. I'm going to get to that in a minute here. But just look at the weapons. Kai Williams is a great, dual threat back. I know he's got some injury problems, but that's why you have Blake Corum there, who's a very impressive college back at Michigan going into his second year. Puka Nacua is a stud. Devontae Adams, you brought in. He's still a very good receiver. He's basically a more healthier Cooper Kupp at this point in his career. So they still have a ton of really good weapons. You have a good offensive line. Defensively, you have a good young defense. McVay is maybe the best coach in the league. Offensive mastermind. I think they have enough to still win the division. Now let's get into the rest of the division, which I do not like, which is why I have the Rams still coming out on top. In second place, I'm going to give it to the Arizona Cardinals. I have them going 9-8. I think it's going to be pretty close between the two. Arizona's got a pretty good roster. Obviously it's a big year for Gannon. Year 3 for him. Under 500 the first two. Got a little better last year. To hope to take another step forward next year. James Conner's an overall productive running back. Marvin Harris, he's supposed to be a generational talent. I truly do believe in him. McBride's a great tight end. Defensively, I think adding Josh Sweat will help a lot. They should be a little better defensively. That being said, I think they're being held back by a very overrated and overpaid mediocre quarterback in Kyler Murray. I just don't think they're as good as the Rams. I think Kyler holds them back. Probably happens. They probably come up a little short. Kyler holds them back, and then they blame Jonathan Gannon. Probably what happens. He should get another year, and they trade away Kyler. But let him pick his quarterback, but I don't think that's what happens. But don't think they get in. They're 9-8, come up a little short. In third place, I have a San Francisco 49ers. I'm going 7-10. I think it'll be another long year for them. I get it. If they're healthy, it could be, in the second round of the playoffs at least. But Purdy's a decent quarterback, but by paying him, you can't pay anybody else, and he needs help. Look, McCaffrey, when healthy, is probably maybe the best player in the league. Don't know if he'll be healthy. Don't Jordan Mason anymore. Ayuk's hurt to start the year still. Debo's not there anymore. I mean, George Kittle is great. And they have some more talented receivers. Ricky Pearsall, and the last year was hurt to start the year because he got shot. It was a crazy situation. And Juwan Jennings is a good player. He's got a contract update. And but just defensively, Nick Bosa is a great player. He had 9 sacks last year. Just they don't have what they used to on defense. Fred Warner might be the best player at his position, but you lost a lot of pieces on defense. Either Trent Williams stays healthy, a left tackle. The offensive line leaves a lot to be desired. They got even worse, and they were not good last year. This team overall is a team that was had 6 wins last year, got pretty clearly worse. Again, a couple of guys being healthier, should be taken into account, but I just don't see it as ending very well. I just think this is a team that is showing the effects of playing deep into February and January. Several years in a row not getting it done. I don't see how this gets much better anytime soon. And in last place, at the Seahawks also going 7-10. A lot of moving parts over there. Darnold proved he should be a solid quarterback going forward, but it's a little worse situation. I like Kenneth Walker. He's very good, but the guy's always nicked up. Charbonnet's pretty good, but he's also nicked up a bunch. I like Jason a lot. I think could be a great receiver, could be a breakout candidate, but other than that, Cooper Kupp's still a good receiver, but injury prone. Off the line, I think is still a concern. I like what they have on defense. Overall, it's a good young defense. Defensive model head coach Mike McDonald, who I do like. But I think Sam will take a slight step back from what he did last year in Minnesota. I think the offense has too many moving parts. Again, I said I don't love the division. The win-loss record will be super impressive, but it's still a division where all 4 teams are going to be competitive. They have 6 games that are going in to it's going to be somewhat tough to win. So I think they go 7-10. I think they take a slight step back. And now let's do game picks, starting with college football. Week 2 of college football. We got a Saturday slate. I think only Saturday slate this week, at least for the big games. Number 2, Penn State plays Florida International, FIU. Penn State should roll without much of a problem. These are the noon games doing first. Number 7, Texas. They dropped to 7th in the country. They play San Jose State. That game's going to be ugly. Texas should win by a lot. Number 11, Illinois is playing Duke, which should be a much closer game. I think Illinois pulls it out. Number 14, Florida State. They jump all the way up to 14th in the rankings against East Texas A&M. Florida State by a lot in that one as well. We got number 16, Iowa State against Iowa. Of course, a rivalry game. Iowa, the deal with them. They go 8-4. They're happy. They don't play any offense. Iowa State's a better team. They might win the Big 12 this year. I have them winning that game. Baylor gets number 17. SMU. I'm gonna take Baylor. In an upset, I think SMU is not great this year. I think I'm crashing on the earth. Baylor is not a great team, but even playing in the Big 12. But I'll take Baylor on the upset. Number 23, Indiana beats Kansas State. That game shouldn't be relatively close at all. Number 24, Texas Tech beats Kent State. That game should be very close either. Number 19, A&M against Utah State. Texas A&M by a lot. That's where you're going to get in college football, especially early on. SEC teams playing just goofballs, and it ends up being 52-3. Number 1, Ohio State against Grambling. I don't even know why Grambling scheduled this game. It's going to be ugly. Ohio State's going to win by a lot. My Grambling, your logo is literally the Georgia logo with different colors. You couldn't come up with anything more original than that. Come on. Speaking of Georgia, they're ranked 4th in the country right now. They're playing Austin Peay, or P, or however you pronounce that. Doesn't matter. They're going to lose by 40 anyway to Georgia. Number 6, Oregon against Oklahoma State. Give me Oregon. Okay, Sage is overmatched in that game, and we're going to win by a lot. Number 8, Clemson, they dropped to 8th after losing to LSU in week 1 against Troy. Clemson should win in the blowout. Number 20, Ole Miss against Kentucky. I'll take Ole Miss. Kentucky's always like a sneaky team because of how well they run the ball. But Ole Miss, I think is a good team this year. They pull this one out. Number 22, Tennessee against East Tennessee State. I guess kind of a rivalry, but Tennessee's going to win by a lot. Number 13, Florida against South Florida. Give me Florida. USF had an impressive week 1 showing. Beat the brakes off Boise State, but Florida is looking like they're finally trending in the right direction this year. Give me Florida. Shouldn't be too close. Number 25, Utah against Cal Poly. Utah by a lot. Number 5, Miami against Bethune-Cookman. Give me the U. I'm not going to even try to do the hand thing. I can't do it. Number 10, South Carolina against South Carolina State. South Carolina, you got a bunch of rivalry games this week. And number 3, LSU. They're like third in the country against Louisiana Tech. LSU by a lot. I think LSU could make the college football playoff this year. They're really good. Darren Nussmeier and Amanda being a top pick in the draft. Number 12, Arizona State, the defending Big 12 champs against Mississippi State. Give me Arizona State. I still think I'm not sure if they'll win the Big 12 again, but they'll at least be competitive. The Big 12 isn't good. Mississippi State is not great. Give me Arizona State. Probably the best game of the week, considering the slate is not very good. Number 15, Michigan. Number 18, Oklahoma. I'm going to take Oklahoma. I'm not sold on Bryce Underwood yet. True freshman quarterback that usually doesn't turn out very well. I'm going to take the Sooners. I think they're actually a pretty solid team this year. And UL Monroe against number 21, Alabama. Alabama will win this game by a lot. I'm pretty confident in that. Now, NFL game picks. I picked the Thursday night game last night. We got the Brazil game tomorrow. It's on YouTube. At 8 o'clock is Chiefs-Chargers. I'm going to take the Chiefs. They've kind of owned the Chargers for a bunch of years now. Chiefs, they've been 3 Super Bowls, 1-2. They have Mahomes. Chargers are still a good team, but I am the Chiefs beat them in this game. Bucks-Falcons is starting on 1 o'clock slate. Should be a good game. The divisional rivalry. Going to be important as the season, going to be important, it's only the first game of the year. These division games, especially in division like that, are going to be important. I'm going to take the Bucks. They are in Atlanta. I'm going to take the Bucks. It's just, it's Michael Penix. This is not his first ever start, but, first ever start as a, full-time starter. Maybe some jitters. I think the Bucks win that game. Bengals, Browns. Every year Cincinnati comes out really, really slow. In fact, I'm going to take the Browns in an upset. It's in Cleveland. Bengals, every year week 1, they crap the bed. They just, for whatever reason, they had a bit of a tumultuous offseason dealing with the Hendrickson stuff and the Shamar Stewart stuff. Is Trey Henderson, still, running himself into shape. And he was practicing and stuff through camp. It was a hold in, but I think the Browns pull off the upside. Dolphins, Colts at 1 o'clock. This is not a very enticing game. I'm going to take Indianapolis. Dolphins are not a good road team. I don't think they're good defensively. Probably an ugly game because Daniel Jones isn't great either, but I'll take Indianapolis. Raiders and Patriots. I'm going to take New England. By the way, Amari Cooper, less than 2 weeks after being signed there, the team that drafted him 11 years ago just said that he's retiring. So now dealing with that. I like Pete Carroll, but new coach, new quarterback, a lot of new pieces, young team. Patriots, also have a lot of moving parts, but, I trust Mike Vrabel. I guess a little more than Pete Carroll. So I will go with the New England Patriots. Arizona Cardinals and New Orleans Saints. They're not so inspiring games, but give me Arizona. They should be a very competitive team, if nothing else, this year. The Saints are unbelievably awful. And give me Arizona. Steelers, Jets. I'm taking the Steelers. I'm ready for Aaron Rodgers to have a big game or lead a game-winning drive against the Jets. I'm already mentally prepared for it. It will be a low-scoring game. Pittsburgh probably pulls it out. Giants, Commanders. I'm going to take the Commanders. I think this will be a close game. It's the divisional game. Giants are a little more motivated this year. You have an actual sort of quarterback. Defense should be really good. Should be able to run the ball. Dable knows he's got to produce some results this year. But Commanders are really good. Jalen Daniels is the stud. I'm going to take the Commanders. Panthers, Jaguars. Goodness gracious, that might be a toilet bowl of the week. Panthers, Jaguars. Oof, I'm going to take Jacksonville. I'm not sure how that's going to look with Liam Cohen, but Trevor Lawrence is healthy. Everyone's excited to see Travis Hunter. I don't expect him to play much defense in this game, but I do think he will make an impact as a receiver. Give me the Jaguars. 4:05 slate. We got Titans, Broncos. Kind of a meh game. I'm going to take Denver. They're a good team. They got better in the offseason. That defense is really good. To me, that's a really tough first game for Cam Ward. In Denver against that defense, that's a really tough first draw for Cam Ward. Give me Denver. In fact, this game, they're favored by 8.5, which seems a little wild. More I think about it, it sounds relatively accurate. First ever game for a guy, especially in a not so great situation in Tennessee. That's tough. I think he struggles in Denver, kind of cruises something like 23-7, something like that. Niners, Seahawks, divisional game. I'm going to take the Niners. I know Ayuk isn't playing, but you still have Jawan Jennings. You still have Ricky Pearsall. I think both those guys do make an impact this year. Not sure what Seattle's going to look like. They are at home, but I'm going to take the Niners. 4:25. Lions, Packers. What could be the game of the week? I'm going to take the Lions in this one. For one reason, I'm not sure Micah Parsons is playing. I think he has been battling a back injury throughout camp. Who knows, maybe that went into the decision for Dallas to trade him. I'm not sure if he'll be 100%. Lions have an electric offense, one of the league's best. I think Green Bay ends up besting them overall in the standings this year, but I think week one, even at Lambeau, Detroit goes in there and picks up a win. Texans, Rams, should be a good game. They actually have a very good slate of week one games. Usually it just kind of ends. It's very good this year. Texans, Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. I know Stafford's got the back thing, but Texans, they're not that great of a team. They've kind of gotten worse every year since they drafted Stroud. They have a good front seven with Kobe Turner and company. Texans off the line is not good. I think they get a lot of pressure on Stroud. Give me the Rams. Sunday Night Football. Ravens and Bills, a rematch of a divisional round playoff game. I'm going to take the Ravens. It is in Buffalo. I mean, the weather on Long Island still been relatively warm. I'm not sure what's going to be. Orchard Park is further up there. They're almost Canada at that point in Orchard Park. By the way, that new Bills Stadium they're building looks absolutely insane. So I don't even like the build, but I am interested to see what that looks like. It looks outstanding. But back on track. Weather shouldn't be too much of a factor. First of all, Baltimore plays in the cold double time. Second of all, someone who lives in New York, it's not that bad right now. It's not going to be snowing on September 9th, 8th, 6th. I don't care what the date is, whatever day Sunday is at this point. Taking the Ravens, I think they're the most complete team in the AFC. Lamar Gonzalez should be a fun one. Give them the Ravens. And Monday Night Football, Vikings Bears, another divisional game. Should be a good game. I'm going to take the Vikings. I know it's the first ever game for McCarthy. In Chicago against that defense is a tough matchup for him, but the roster around it is really good. I think they lean on the rest of the group. I just don't trust this whole thing with Caleb Williams. Especially not right away. I'm going to take the Vikings in that game. So I got for you guys today. Most likely doing a show tomorrow, but not totally sure, but shooting to do one tomorrow. But until next time, so long. Have a great day.